rise, please do so for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, we will open up the first hearing and privilege of the floor. If anyone would like to address the board, please adhere to policy 1230. Step up to the microphone, just your name, your address. Adhere to our 5-minute policy, and please do not use anyone by name.
Joe Laviolette, 226 Waters Road. I don't have anything prepared. I just had some things I was wondering about, and I wonder if you wonder about it. Why did only 19 boys come out for varsity football this year? And we got nice facilities. Our student body hasn't declined that much. 19 boys come out for varsity football. On top of that, we couldn't field a JV team. So we took the JV team, moved them up to varsity. Now we have 9th graders augmenting the varsity football team. Why only 19 boys are coming out for that sport? We have the same problem in lacrosse. Last year we couldn't field a JV team. So they took kids from the JV team, which they didn't have enough, moved them to varsity, and then moved kids back and forth to try to play a varsity schedule as well. Why is that? Doesn't make sense to me. It was never like this. It has declined steadily over the past few years. Coach Lito, who I dearly miss, Coach Barber, they had it all figured out, even though we had only limited kids and young kids playing, and they did a nice job the first week. For various reasons, I think 4, potentially 5 coaches left the football program this year. So it was left with a handful of assistant coaches who have done everything they could do with what they have. And I compliment them for that. But gosh, has anybody looked at the football games? Has anybody watched the game lately? These kids are getting humiliated. 50-0, 56-6. I read what the athletic director puts out every year, his motto for the year, integrity, and it always ends with, and we'll always play to win. Man, we're not playing to win. High school athletics is part of the high school experience. It's not just athletics, it's the whole picture. What are these kids learning? What are we teaching them? And what are they coming out of this? Have they grown as a person? Or are they just going out there and getting their butts whipped week after week after week? So the other thing I wonder is, as the board, with everything I just said, and losing 4, potentially 5 coaches from the program, did the board have a plan? Because I waited week by week to see if something would be done, something would be an attempt to change things, to improve things. But it seems now with only 3 weeks left that we're just coasting. Coasting on kids that are seniors. This is the end of their high school career. My heart aches for them. My heart aches for the 10th graders and the 9th graders who are playing against seniors on the other teams we're playing. I wonder why kids aren't coming out for the programs. And I wonder if we have a plan, or is this just accepted, this is what we're going to do in Scotia Athletics? I hope you guys are wondering about that too. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no one else that would like to address the board at this time, we will close the first hearing and privilege of the floor. Remind everyone that we will have one towards the end of the meeting. At this time, we are going to move up agenda items 6 and 7 on our agenda. Amy Pedrick is going to be giving the board a brief presentation of what the audit committee just went through, so we can move the financial report and action plan. So, Amy, fire away.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good evening. As Board President has said, I just met with the audit committee and went through the audited financial statements in more detail. I will start off, though, by saying the audit went very well, as it has in the past. Your business office does a great job getting all the books and records to me and to my team. And so in order for us to do the audit, it goes very smoothly. As you'll see when I go through, we have clean opinions, no significant issues to report. But as part of the New York State 5-point plan, I am required to meet with the audit committee, and then the audit committee then will make a recommendation to the board for approval for the audit. The audit, if you've seen them in the past, is set up really the same setup as before. There's no significant accounting changes. So the format of the report, in the very beginning, we have the first 3 pages, which are the first opinion from Weston Company, which is our independent auditor's report. This is an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion we give as a profession. It means the financial statements present fairly. Then after that, we have management's discussion and analysis, and that's about a 10-page snapshot of what happened at the district during the year. A lot of those numbers are presented on what we call the long-term accrual accounting, which is our long-term assets and our long-term liabilities, but it's not necessarily how management's required to operate, how New York State allows them to operate. So just kind of understanding that in the context when you're reviewing those 10 pages. But the one thing that this does allow is management to add narrative. So it gives a lot more information on what affected variances with the budget, what could affect the district in the future. So reading those 10 pages and reading that narrative puts a lot of it into context for the board members. Then after that, we have our financial statements. Those are presented 2 different ways. The first is that long-term method that I talked about, and that takes into account all our long-term liabilities and our long-term assets. Then after that, we have the fund financial statements. Those are really how the district operates. We have the general fund, the special aid fund, the school lunch fund, the capital fund, and that's really what management uses to make decisions, to do their fiscal projections, are those fund-based financial statements. So as a board member, I would really, the pages I would want to look at would be 16 and 18. It has the fund balance for the general fund and et cetera. And then we have the footnotes to the financials. Those provide more explanation. It gives details on the reserves that you have and how they can be used and funded. It gives more detailed information on some of those long-term numbers as well. Your long-term fixed assets, your post-employment benefit liability, your bonds payable. It just gives more detailed information to the numbers that you see on the financials. Then we have some supplemental information that's required to be in the reports, either by Governmental Accounting Standards Board or by the New York State Education Department. And then after that, we have our second and third opinion that Weston Company issues. The second one being our report on internal controls over financial reporting and compliance. We have a separate internal auditor that will really look at your controls. They do a full risk assessment every year, test certain risk areas. For us, as your external auditor, we do assess the risk over financial reporting and compliance, and we had no significant deficiencies, no material weakness. So again, a clean opinion there. Then the third opinion right after that is our opinion on the federal programs. So because the district spends more than $750,000 of federal money, and that federal money is comprised of your school lunch reimbursement, your special education grants, over the last few years it's included your CRISA and your ARPA funds as well, we have to audit those funds. And here we specifically this year looked at the COVID, the CRISA, and the ARP funding, and we had no findings associated with those grants, so that is as well a clean opinion. And then after that, we have the audit of the extra classroom activity funds. Those are required to be here in the financial statements. New York State Education Department requires a separate audit of these funds. They're cash basis. So here we just have a qualification to the opinion that just states that for us as your auditor, the point of audit begins at the point of deposit into the bank. It's the same opinion we have in all the districts that we issue. It's nothing specific to Scotia. It's just here because it's a cash-based system. We're auditing from the point of deposit forward. And that's the context of what's in the financial statements. Did anybody have any questions, either the audit committee who I met with previously, or any questions specific to any of the audit process or the numbers that they'd like to discuss? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
So at this time, I'll take a motion for items number 6 and 7 to accept the auditor's report for 23-24 and accept the audit corrective action plan for 23-24.
I'll make a motion that we accept the auditor's report for 2023-2024, as well as the, to accept, excuse me, the audit corrective action plan for 2023-2024 as submitted.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Wait. You're supposed to have some comments first.
Well, we asked Amy if Amy has.
Well, I didn't, wait, because I don't have a comment for her. I want to hear from the audit committee because you did the detailed and the rest of us just got the 76-page document 10 minutes before the meeting. So I'd like to hear your thoughts and what you thought based on your review.
Yeah. All the information from Drew's office was provided quickly and efficiently, which made this audit go as smooth as can be. Everything was clean and crisp, and the best part, there was nothing new in our financial plan or the documents from this year or last year. We get a gold star and we pass like we usually do. We're right at that 4% number for our balance, so we're fine. It was a good audit, good clean audit.
Yeah, there were no new findings or anything. Everything was right to where we need to be. Revenue, everything was right where in our ARPA funds, in our bonds, we're all right where they need to be.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Sorry about that.
That's it.
All right, now, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Abstain, I guess? I got nothing.
Or abstain?
Look at it.
Yep, absolutely.
I am also abstaining. I did not have a chance to look at it at all. In fact, Kim just brought me it over a minute ago.
502. Okay.
Nothing.
All right, so now we will move back to agenda item number 4 for superintendent's comments.
Thank you. So first, we just want to commend Mr. Giaquinto and his team for a clean audit. I know the work that goes into that on there, and so thank you very much for that. The second thing I want to let the board know is that we saw 3 finalists for the position of Glen Warden Principal today. We had a committee made up of 3 of the elementary principals, all except Ms. Conley, Mr. Arquette, myself, Ms. Mabel, and I will be looking for a night when the board could interview our finalists. We're in the process of checking references at this point. Clearly, I would prefer we not do that on a board night, since we will need at least a couple of hours. So we don't have to get into figuring that out right this minute, but Mr. Talbot, perhaps you could get a night when the majority of folks would be present to do those interviews.
All right.
And finally, I also want to commend Mr. Hubble, who teamed up with a former teacher from the district, Patty Bertino, and her husband, and worked with the Thomas Corners Fire Department for a Saturday activity that was held that included things like face painting, car seat checks, what's it like to be a fireman and EMT, all of those kinds of things, raffle, and was quite successful. So my thank you to Mr. Hubble for that work also. And that will do it for me.
Beautiful. Thank you. Moving on to our reports or updates. Legislative.
Nothing legislative as of this time. I did a review and there wasn't anything. On Thursday, though, I do have my meeting to go through all the proposals with the NYSSBA. So I expect the next time to have a lot more information.
Good. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
PTA.
Just had a meeting on the 25th. Good meeting. Mr. Arquette, myself, and I was the president, but a good number of memberships throughout all 6 schools. I know we got at Glen Warden, we got the trunk or treat coming up on the 18th, and the zombie bash is here the same night. And I believe Lincoln is doing their trunk or treat the week after. Yes. And that's about it.
Nice. Audit committee, we just heard from. Board of Education Policy Committee.
And I have a date set up for October 18th to get together and start going through the 4,000s.
All right, Jerome's sure there's nothing to report on the budget yet. No.
Just enjoy the basking of the yacht at first, then we'll.
All right. All right, Board of Education goals. So I know we all had at our place tonight what we had spoke about. I thank Chad for putting that all together for us, and then everyone commenting on that to try to clarify and shrink up the 3 goals that we had, as well as other goals that were on the bottom. So we can discuss these now, and then we can vote on them the 28th, if that works for all of us. Who would like to start?
Just looking at, and Kimberly did an awesome job on editing that down. I think we all kind of thought it was a little wordy. I kind of feel maybe we could streamline one a little bit more. I get the spirit. I understand where we're going. I know we absolutely want to look at the APP and the weighted grading. I know those are things that are already in the pipeline with AD, with APP, and then also Susan with the weighted grading. So I don't know if we need to mention that there, but again, I understand that it's something that's really in our bullseye right now. So I don't know if that's something that could drop off. I don't know how we feel about that, but overall, I think they're pretty fair goals that we can accomplish in the year. So.
Yeah, I agree, Chad. I'm not sure that needs to be there either, since at the last meeting, Susan had talked about and it's on the bottom, like you had mentioned, and then the continued conversation about the APP. So I think once the findings are done and reported back to the board, then we can go ahead and make a policy about that at that point in time. And I wasn't sure about the first critical review. I wasn't sure what we meant by that. Because the policy,
We've actually finished everything except 4,000 to 69.99. And Susan has all of those, so they just need to be entered into a sheet. So for a first reading and a second reading for all the other ones. So our basic concentration this year will be the 4,000 to 6,999. And I don't know if we want, I think we should add that in because it makes it more of a smart goal.
Right.
Did you get this part, did you get this done? Or not? So.
Yeah, because we've done everything else, just the 4 to 6 needs to be done and approved, and then that goal can come off for next year and become something else.
So in agreement to reword that?
What was the numbers? 4,000?
4,000 to 69.99.
It's really 4 to 7, but do the 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. For me, I thought with number 1, I thought the reason that I added the last sentence regarding weighted grades and the APP process was because with respect to the beginning, we're talking about policies that we already have, but I think it's also good to look to see if there's new policies we need to create. And what was brought up last week about APP, I thought was interesting. I think the other board members felt the same way. And obviously you guys well know what I think about the weighted grade situation, so I won't get any further into that. But I just thought the fact that they were new policies versus the first part of the sections, talking about ones we already have and we're just fixing them, that's why I would like to see it all included together.
As long as that doesn't limit, because there are other new policies we will be bringing.
Can we add
Either
but not
because they're
limited
legally
to?
required policies or because we need to update existing things that we're doing.
So if we had the verbiage in there, but not limited to, or in
Well, we can
addition?
put new policies such as,
Right, that would make sense, such as.
weighted grades, not related to.
Can you maybe add like better way to find the policy? Not that there's a bad way right now, but I think last week I was trying to go through it at free time at work. I'm going through every single policy as fast and efficient as I can. I find nothing on the Tanner score.
It's not in our
It's not in there, right? Okay. Well,
That was why I included the APP process, because that would include the Tanner score scale situation.
Okay.
Yeah. That should be, what is done with Tanner should be a part of the APP, from what I understood.
That's what
part of the
currently
APP
happens,
Right,
yes.
it's part of that process.
Right.
Susan, do we not have, I know in the back of my head, I have seen written out the steps that we follow as to whether or not a student can play up.
Yes, there's a whole process.
Okay, can we all get a copy,
Sure.
please, of that process?
Absolutely.
So that we can look at what we actually have in writing and then look at it and see if we feel that there need to be policy changes.
I have a question, Susan. If a parent were curious about that policy, where would they find that? Is that something they would encounter?
It's not a policy,
Or
it's
not
a
policy,
procedure.
excuse me, but that procedure, where would they
To
find
the
it?
athletic department.
Okay, thank you.
We'll include that on Friday, Pam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For 3, I just saw a typo on the second line, Chad. Just
Yep.
there's an A in front of community. I think community, I don't think there should be an A
Yep.
in front of community. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
For number 2, I like that it's been, I think we were talking that we like that it's been condensed a little bit. The become familiar with learning opportunities, can we have something, I'm just not sure that that's specific enough. I don't know how we would measure that, how we're becoming familiar with something. So maybe just reconsidering that, just that language, that part of it.
Do you have a suggestion what to change it to?
I mean, every synonym I'm thinking of, like explore, I still don't know how we would measure that. I agree that it's something we have to do. I just don't know how to make it
Review?
fit.
Orient?
Yeah. I just don't know how, I don't know how to make it more of a, to fit a SMART goal. Because I don't know how you can measure how somebody becomes familiar with something.
What if we said the Board of Education will review learning opportunities?
I think that's better than we'll become familiar with. I think review is more specific. I would be in favor of making that change.
And going back to 1, Pam, do you think the word critical needs to be in there on the second line? Can we just say first review?
First review is.
And then we can say of the district policies from 4,000 to 6,900?
Yeah.
Yeah,
take that right
that's
out.
fine.
All right, moving on to number 3.
And that one,
If we were done with number 2, sorry. Go ahead.
with that one, Kimberly, you were right, that one was a little bit light, so I just tried to, I saw the feedback that I think you put on there, but keep it broad, still have parameters so that the information we're gathering, it's just not a free-for-all, that we have an intent, but still at the same time broad enough that things won't get through the net. I was much more happy with editing that out. I don't know how everyone else feels. I don't know if it's too many things we're looking for. I just wanted there to be some type of bumpers on either side of it, what we're looking for.
And we're all good with the way number 3 is written?
Yep.
All right, so we will rewrite the first 2 with the changes. Submit that to Jill and Susan. And then on the 28th, we'll move on those 3 goals. All right, thank you. All right, moving on. If I can get a motion, please, for resolutions 8 and 9 to accept gifts and donations.
I would like to move to accept the gift and donation to the Fine Arts Department and accept the gift and donation to the high school music program as submitted.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? If If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Or abstain? So moved. Item number 10, please.
I will move staffing 1 through 17, the placement of students with disabilities, and the minutes for September 9th with 2 corrections. First correction is on page 35, and Mr. Shin's name is misspelt there when he's the alternate to the voting.
It is, where?
It's got S-I-G-N.
Oh, okay, thank you. I
Okay.
didn't see it.
And the second correction is on page 40, the resolution to accept the gifts in memory of Mr. Chris Cohn is missing the moved by section. And Jill said she'll have to research that.
All right, and a second to
I'll
move that
second.
with changes. Thank you.
And just those 2, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on any of that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Or abstain? Internal claims. Payroll warrant 67. Number 2. 5. 7. 10. Or 11. Questions on check warrants A3, A4, A6, or A9? So moved. Any questions on any budget transfers from June, July, August, September 2024? So moved. All right, at this point, we're going to move on to other business. Does anyone have any other business they'd like to talk about?
I just had noticed earlier that we had changed the date of the next board meeting to the 28th, and it was still on the website as the 21st. So I emailed Julia and asked her if she would make that change on that.
Beautiful, thank you.
I just want to point out something I saw the other day going to get lunch. It's just a light thing, but I was passing by Lincoln and I saw the staff out there before recess wiping everything down. And I thought that was just a phenomenal thing. They were taking such great care for our children out there early, going the extra mile, and I was just so impressed by that. Whoever they were, I think you're amazing. Keep it up. That's wonderful.
Awesome, thank you.
And I would just like to wish those of you that are going to convention a nice trip and bring us back all kinds of information. You'll have a great time.
And I've been going through my courses and what I'm taking, and
I know.
the 3 of us have to talk just to make sure we're not in the same class together, but that's kind of where we're at now.
So, have fun. All right, if there's no other business, at this time, we'll open up the second round of the hearing privilege of the floor. Again, if anyone would like to address the board, please just state your name, address, and your 5-minute policy. Please do not use anyone by name.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Hoffman. I'm the Scotia-Glenville Teachers President's Association, President of the Teachers Association. I just want to check first. It was my understanding that there would be a change to number 13 on page 4 tonight, the board appointment of freshman and sophomore class advisor. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss that there was a change. No? So we just board appointed that? Okay. So I'm going to speak to that then. The Scotia-Glenville Teachers Association has grieved against the school district 2 to 3 times in the last couple of years about not posting vacancies. And we have an understanding and a resolution from the last grievance that states that all vacancies will be posted as the contract states. To me, this is like a super simple thing. Just send out the email with the posting. When I got the board agenda over the weekend, I emailed this morning. This vacancy was never posted for those 2 positions to the SGTA. My unit gets first grab at those. So any kind of vacancies that open up, and whether somebody wants the position or not, they do have to be posted for everybody. Aides, monitors, doesn't matter. All of our employees. The person that's on here isn't a district employee, so our people would get first dibs if a vacancy posting came out, which it did not. I asked for the vacancy to be posted. It was posted this afternoon. SGTA gets 10 days with that posting. So I was really surprised tonight to see that this was board appointed, since I'm not sure how that could happen since the vacancy had not actually been posted in the district. Those positions were vacated last year, one in April and one in June. So it seems like there's been a reasonable amount of time for the district to post these vacancies for the opening of school. So thank you for listening. I just was surprised. I was expecting that not to be here tonight.
Sarah, which numbers did you say?
It was number 13, freshman class advisor, sophomore class advisor. We're just asking for the vacancies to be posted and people to have an opportunity to show interest. And should you not get any interest, it's totally in your purview to go outside of our unit. That's how the process works. But we do want our people to have access to those jobs first, as the contract states. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Elizabeth Zenner, 800 Riverside Ave. I'll do my best not to use names and to stay within the 5 minutes. At the last meeting, I asked 2 specific questions. What is the procedure to vet information when complaints are received? And what is the procedure for the person to defend themselves? There were a variety of other parents here, one of whom also spoke and conveyed some concerns. And I can say that none of us who came, including myself, realized that it was an option when we came and spoke at a meeting and asked a specific question to be met with silence. Even if you can't necessarily give an answer right on the spot, we thought maybe there would be some kind of a response later in an email, or someone would come address the parents in some format, and there hasn't been anything. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a fairly logical person. I like things to make sense, and when they don't make sense, I keep asking questions to the point of annoyance until I get an answer. And when answers are not forthcoming, I tend to use a lot of circumstantial evidence to then come up with a conclusion that does make sense. So the circumstantial evidence that I see in this situation, and I'm talking about the situation about football with the non-appointment of senior, so I won't say names, but senior. The circumstantial evidence that I see is that I sent an email asking those specific questions and did not get a response. We asked questions at the last Board of Education meeting and did not get a response. Like I said before, it's a small town, people talk, and still no one has indicated that they know what happened or why this decision was made. The email that I received when I originally started asking questions definitely alluded to the fact that there were complaints received about senior. Yet again, no one has talked about, oh yeah, they must be talking about that incident. You know, just nobody can think of what this reason possibly should be. The son then resigned to support his dad. This has been interpreted in a variety of ways by people, but you know, I believe his intention was to teach the boys that you need to stand up for what you feel is right, even though it will be painful, and even though some people will be hurt by it and other people won't be. People may draw different conclusions, but he wanted to support his dad. I won't go into detail, but the decision to not have senior coach has had ramifications which illustrate exactly why the son needed to resign in order to support his dad, to show that he felt that the decision was unfounded. Another circumstantial evidence that I see that there's not really a procedure and that information was not done to really vet out whatever these complaints were, is that and there was no opportunity for senior to defend himself, is that the family has continued to search for answers. And they wouldn't do that if they were made aware of the reason. Senior did share with me an email that he shared with some members who are in attendance, and maybe other people who did not see it. And I'd like to read it because he sent it to me. He said that he was really looking forward to the season and really enjoyed working in the boys, and he's with the boys, and he's very disappointed that this decision was made. So the email that he sent was, Sorry. But maybe everybody listening or watching did not get it. It certainly has been a crazy couple weeks. The last 2 weeks have taken my family and friends, the Scotia-Glenville coaching staff, players, and community by shock. With this craziness, I took the opportunity Monday night to watch the streaming of your board meeting. While listening to a few parents speak, I came to the realization that you did not know anything about me except for possible false allegations that may have been discussed with you from an unknown source. Yes, I understand you as a BOA have already voted to deny my coaching position, but I do feel I should offer to you some of my background and coaching experience and what drives me to coach so that you may be properly informed on the decision you made. I'll be married 34 years this coming November to my supportive wife, Tammy. I have 2 children. My son, blank, that you all know of, played football in college, has coached with me for 10 years and is a Schenectady police officer for 8 years. I have a daughter who is currently in graduate school working on her master's degree in speech-language pathology and also very enthusiastic and educated in the sport of football. I myself have played football in high school and college. I have coached at the high school level for 20 years as a position coach, coordinator, and as a head coach. I've also coached at the college level for 8 years as a position coach and coordinator. In the early spring, I was asked by Coach Lito to be a volunteer assistant coach. I've been working with the Scotia players ever since and enjoyed getting to know and the opportunity to work with the kids. To explain in further detail my coaching experience, I've been a well-respected member of the Section 2 community as well as the state. I'll paraphrase here, but he was the president of the National Football Foundation, has coached several sectional titles, regional championships, and the state championship. He has a variety of connections with other people at other universities, has an open invitation with the University of Albany to attend practices. He has a lot of connections and have often helped out students that he has previously coached. He's had many former players and player parents reach out to me this week offering their support and ask the question why. Why is the question we all seem to be asking. He wishes the football team the best, and he hopes that the progress that kids made over the summer was the start of a successful season. Now, I just want to make sure it's clear that my getting up and speaking in no way can be interpreted as a dissatisfaction with the current coaches. They are in a very tough position. They are all coaches that were there before and that were assistants, but now they are very stressed because of the situation, I would imagine. And the head coach needing to resign, while it could be said is completely unrelated to this situation, it's possible that whatever those reasons are would have at least carried him through the season were it not for all this happening. I very much thank the person who spoke before. I think he said a lot of things exactly, that we care about the kids. We're sad to see them just seeming to struggle, and I think this has added to it. Is that my 5 minutes?
I gave you an extra minute.
Oh, okay. Well, just super quick. The one thing that people are talking about, that there was definitely an agenda. It was not unforeseen necessarily that Junior would have resigned, and that maybe was the end game. And again, without clear actual information, people are left to come to their own conclusions, and we don't like what we're concluding. Or the fact that somebody else could maybe have the reverse happen, like I said in the last meeting, and there will be no accountability for why decisions were made. Thank you. Sorry for...
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board this evening? If not, we will close the hearing and privilege of the floor. And I will ask the board for a motion to go to executive session for personnel.
I'll motion to go to executive session for personnel.
Thank you. Second.